Welcome back to the Vertz podcast. I'm your host, Logan. We've got Darby and Adam. We've got another pinch hitter this week, and it's actually the same guy. Dalton's feeling a little under the weather this week, so we've got Alex back again for some more hot takes. This week, we're going to be kicking off the NFL season. It is the week of the Hall of Fame game, and we're going to give you all of our thoughts about the NFL season, where we think people are going to line up, some stats predictions, and all of the above. Let's get it rolling. Darby, what you got?
Okay, so my predictions for the AFC. The AFC East, I had the Bills winning that. I have the Ravens winning the North, the Texans coming out of the South, and then obviously the Chiefs coming out of the West. For the NFC, I have the Cowboys, the Packers, the Bucks, and the 49ers. So,
Get the Bucks?
yes, sir. I think old Baker Mayfield's going to get it done this year for him. He's going to come out strong. And
You guys in Atlanta aren't going to get it done?
I don't know, man. I think it's Bake's time. I think he's a very underrated quarterback. I think he's finally going to get his flowers this year. I think he's going to come out strong and get it done.
What makes him underrated?
I don't know.
His lack of ability.
I just feel like there's a lot of other quarterbacks that get their flowers. Dak, we'll say Dak. I mean, I think Dak is good. I think he's talked about quite a bit. He does play for the Cowboys. I don't think they've had a whole lot of success. But yeah, I just think Baker Mayfield's going to get done this year. I think he's going to. That's my thoughts.
I mean, this is also, I caught that you said, obviously, the Chiefs. I feel like this is the time of the year every season where we hear about how the Chargers are going to take the AFC West every year before the season starts. Everyone always jumps on the Chargers bandwagon. This might be for the first time in 6 years that doesn't happen. So I just wanted to run that by the room. Are we all in? I mean, we're Kansas City based here, but is this going to be the only podcast that doesn't jump on a Chargers bandwagon preseason?
You got the new coach.
Yeah.
You got Harbaugh.
Well, then let's just go ahead and crown them AFC West champs.
Okay.
Let's do it.
You betting on it?
Right.
I'm not betting on
We
it.
don't even need to play the season.
No, we're
Yeah,
good.
every preseason, it's the same narrative, though. So I'm like, hey, let's just go ahead and address that.
He's going to be hauling his mobile home, or his, not mobile home, RV down to New Orleans for the Super Bowl.
For sure.
I don't know. I can't hop on the Chargers bandwagon, obviously. I feel like if there's ever a season to be optimistic about the Chargers, it's probably this one with Harbaugh. But, I mean, I don't know. I still don't think that they'll get it done.
I do think Justin Herbert. I think he's a pretty good athlete.
Do you think they're wasting him?
Oh man, I just think they need some people around him. The people they have put around him just haven't done much. You know.
I don't know. They really had the worst NFL coach last year. I think
that's
having Harbaugh there it's got to be an upgrade immediately, right?
100%.
Yeah.
And if you look at indicators of success, it's coach and quarterback are the ones that are going to be the ones that to indicate if you're going to win or not. So if you have 50% of that equation is just an absolute dud, it doesn't really matter, if you have a rock star taking the snaps.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. What about the AFC East? You had remind me the Bills.
Yeah, I just think they're. I mean, Josh Allen. I just think he's a competitor. Hate playing against the dude. He's just a gamer. I think he can get a lot of stuff done too when it comes to crunch time. I think he does make some bonehead plays every now and then. I think he tries to do too much. Kind of like we talked about last week with Lamar Jackson when it does come to crunch time. Just trying to do too much. But I do think that I'd rather have Josh Allen than Lamar Jackson in crunch time.
Wow. Okay. You got Aaron coming back though for the Jets.
Yeah, that's I don't know if I'm ready to jump on that bandwagon.
Not even for a wild card spot?
Man, I don't know. I don't know if I can do it.
I mean, USA Today thinks that they're going to win the Super Bowl.
He's not even at training camp yet.
He doesn't need to be.
He hasn't reported a training camp.
He's chasing the Hat Man.
Listen, I'm driving that bandwagon, so I'll tell you why you need to jump on it when we get to me. But let's stick with you though. You got the Bills going, and don't get me wrong, Josh Allen is the most phenomenal regular season quarterback of them all, where he truly shines in the regular season. So, but you think he's going to get it done after that?
Yeah, I think he's going to get it done. Ultimately, I think the Chiefs are going to. Obviously, they're going to have to come head-to-head eventually, and I think the Chiefs, once again, will dethrone those guys of whatever they think they are. I mean, but yeah.
Okay.
What about wild card spots?
Ooh, I didn't get that deep, so I can't say much about that. I didn't dig too deep into that, so I just had division winners. So
Fair enough. Like it. Alex, what you got?
All right. Well, now that you heard his opinion, I'm going to give you the correct answers to the test. So, coming in hot, AFC East. I'm on the bandwagon. Go Jets. 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 Aaron Rodgers doesn't need to be at practice because that guy delivers when it matters. So Aaron Rodgers is going to come in straight off of the ganja, straight into the locker room, and it's showtime. But you got to keep in mind, this guy is facing the end of his career. There's a certain level of urgency that creates people to move differently, and he knows I've only got a couple seasons left in the tank. Think that they get it done.
speaking of urgency, he might want to get to training camp.
When you can deliver like that man does, who needs training camp? You don't need to worry about having timing with your receivers or being able to communicate with your offensive line effectively. You don't need it.
I guess he's fine with the just stroking $50,000 checks too when you got pockets that deep.
Right, he's fine.
Just the savvy vet move. He's going to show up when he wants to and just turn it on and go.
Hey, he was phenomenal for those 5 plays last year.
Listen,
Phenomenal.
no one carried his American flag onto the field better than he could.
Exciting.
Straight
That might have
line.
been the most exciting, hyped up game.
An iconic moment.
Yeah.
His run onto the field lasted longer than his actual season did. So
Yeah. He's not got a high bar to beat from last year. It's safe to say.
But hey, listen, an iconic moment, and he delivered in that moment. I think we can expect the rest of that the whole season. He's going to deliver in the iconic moments. So I got Aaron Rodgers. He's got a great defense to back him up. We'll come back to them. Texans, I think that they're going to run away with that division. AFC West, I'm not jumping on the Chargers bandwagon, which I don't think there's a bandwagon this year, but it just pisses me off every single year. It's the same narrative that this is the year they win.
speaking of the West, what do you think about the recent video that went viral of the Raiders player with the Kermit the Frog, Pat Mahomes?
Oh yeah,
What do you think about that?
Cut to that clip in the edit here. Yeah, I think that let's give the most lethal quarterback in the NFL more ammunition to get pissed off about during training camp. Smart.
Yeah, and I think I can't say this with 100% confidence, but I saw something that said that player that did that was a 7th round draft pick, rookie cornerback or something. But he's probably not even going to be on the field whenever.
Well, LaShawn McCoy made a case for it on SportsCenter this morning, or maybe it was yesterday, but he was talking about the video going viral, and he pretty much said, not sure who you are, number 37, but you're probably going to get cut after this video. He said, kind of just lit a fire that isn't really.
I mean, even if you're a Raiders coach and your 7th round draft pick safety out of Air Force does this, one of the first days of camp, it's like, dude, what are you doing? I mean, come on.
I like Mahomes' response to it too. They asked him about it, and he just simply said it'll get handled when it gets handled.
Yep.
So
It's like your dad walks in the room and you're in trouble, and this will be handled later.
Yep.
It's like that's actually more terrifying than if you just got in trouble in that
now
moment.
you got to wait
Right.
all season.
Right. Now that's what they got to do.
Yeah, but the kid's not going to play. It doesn't matter.
But now the whole team has to.
The team has to suffer.
So you think Mahomes is going to try more now because he was disrespected?
I think he's going to make a case, kind of like when wasn't it the Raiders that circled the stadium, and then the next time we played them, we just came out and hammered them.
Yeah. I mean, we've won and been in more playoff games in their stadium than they have. So I think that says something right there. I don't know. I don't think he tries harder. I think when it's the 4th quarter and we're up 35-14 or whatever it is, he stays in the game and keeps.
You think he goes and gets the Kermit the Frog and brings it on the sideline with him?
I don't think he'll do that, but I could totally see Travis Kelce doing that. Something.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. All right, who you got in the North?
AFC North, potentially one of the top 2 most competitive divisions in football. You put the North in there. Listen, I think this is the year where it all comes together for the Cleveland Browns. Joe Burrow is going to be coming off an injury, and then he's going to get re-injured. Slim Shady falls back off the map. The Baltimore Ravens are the kings of can't get it done in crunch time, which, again, we've seen it again. I don't think that they get better. Cleveland Browns, I think that Deshaun Watson had some on and off. Like obviously had his issues. I'm not cheering for the guy. But then he comes back, then he has injury, so he couldn't really get into a groove. And then he started at the end of last season, starting to get into his groove of things. He's got a good wide receiver one. I think this is a year where he finally figures it all out. They're contenders, and they squeak out a win to get the division in week 17. Week 18.
So
now.
you putting your money where your mouth is?
What's the bet
Browns
here?
are currently plus 138.
I'll go swing by and put a bet on him.
All right. We'll see how this goes.
You think Deshaun's going to earn his contract then this year?
I think that he doesn't need to because it's all guaranteed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he could potentially abuse that division.
All right. I mean, you've got to have who do you have? You've got two bold picks there in the Jets and the Browns. Out of those divisions, who do you got coming out in the wild card spots?
Wild card spots. Buffalo, I'm sorry, but Bills Mafia is soon to die. You had your window in the division. You had your window with the contracts, but you're going to die. And the Dolphins are going to come into a wild card spot there. And Bills Mafia is jumping on tables in their own front yards. They're not going anywhere. So I have in the AFC North. In the AFC, I have them coming out as a wild card, and then I would have the Bengals in a wild card as well.
And the Ravens?
Yeah.
Okay. Hot takes. I think last week you said that the Bills are just floundering in the same spot, and it does feel like that. I agree, but I still think that they've got a little bit left in the tank. Speaking of the Dolphins, how do you guys feel about Tua's contract?
It's a lot of money.
What is it, 213?
Something like
It's
that.
$53 million a year.
Yeah.
That's
Second
a lot of
highest paid
money.
quarterback in the league now.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Woof.
Yeah, they got it done early too. I mean, they said they were going to protect him in training camp, but they obviously wanted to see what they had, and get the team going. So I wouldn't be happy if I was a fan of the Dolphins. I feel like he's not a long-term option. I feel like there's these guys that come into the league and play quarterback that you just know aren't long-term solutions to your problem. It's like guys over the year, Geno Smith, different guy. I don't know.
Well,
Aaron Rodgers.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah. Her cousins.
Those guys are different, though, because those guys are later in their career. I mean, even from the start, it's like Russell Wilson now, Justin Fields, what Caleb Williams will be, just career average guys that aren't going to get you where you need to go.
Wow. Not a Caleb Williams fan, huh?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I think the Bears win 4 games this year.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I second that take.
I don't think that they're going to be any different spot next year than they are right now.
Okay.
So, all right, who you got in the NFC?
NFC, I think it's a little less spicy for me in this seat. I got Cowboys in the East. I just don't think the Eagles are going to pull it together. NFC North, go Pack, go. I will say I went to Lambeau for the first time this past year and saw a game, so I'm slightly tainted by that awesome experience. Highly encourage it. But I like the Pack in the NFC North. NFC South, I'm with the Falcons. You look at what they've done to put talent on the team. I think that there's some people in the right spots there, and now they've got a quarterback who could potentially pull it all together. I think that the Bucs don't take that division. I could see them in a wild card spot. And then NFC West, tough to pick anyone that's not the 49ers.
Yeah.
My hot takes can only get so hot, guys. 49ers are pretty much.
Their roster is probably one of the best rosters I've ever seen on paper. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah. Give them that. I think the NFC is there's a lot less options in the NFC. A lot of them are going to be similar. You've got your good teams, and it's kind of a lot easier to tell who's going to be in the mix. In the AFC, I feel like there's a lot of variability. I mean, who knows? The Chargers could come out and sneak into a wild card spot. The Browns, who knows what the Jets can do. We know that the Chiefs are going to be good. We know the Ravens are probably going to be good. Texans seem to be good too. But also there, who knows? I mean, we've seen teams come out and think that they have the next all-star and then, just drop a dud. Minnesota started to do it at the end of last year with Kirk Cousins when he was healthy. Granted, JJ wasn't healthy that whole time, but I feel like there's a lot of letdown seasons after a good year for teams, and we could easily see that out of the Texans too. So, Adam, what do you think?
Well, I'm going to go a little bit against you. I think in the AFC East, you've got the best quarterback probably is going to win the division. Or Josh Allen's probably the best quarterback in the division, unfortunately, right? So that's where I have to go with. Until he loses it, he's kind of the guy. And I'm not so psyched about Aaron coming back from Achilles injury, right? It's, was he 38, 40? Somewhere around there.
He wanted to come back last season.
Yeah,
He was ready to go. Make that circle small is what he said. Just keep a small circle.
I can't imagine he's coming back feeling 100%. And you ever listen to him? It just seems like he doesn't care. It's like,
You think he's checked out? It is later in his career.
I think he's just got this cool guy. I think he just wants to be a cool guy.
Do you think he wants people to hate him?
I think that he gets it. He gets off.
I think he
on
likes
that.
it.
Because he turns 41 in December.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
And then it's like he's living like he's 21. This offseason.
He's surrounded by guys that are 20.
Yeah, but I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think he's just so, not careless, but free-spirited almost, that like he just does absolutely ridiculous stuff, doesn't show up, and then I feel like it's just he's just gonna kind of fall by the wayside.
Yeah, he just doesn't have that killer mentality.
Yeah.
He just doesn't. I mean, he's considered what? How many MVPs has he won? 3?
Just want a few.
Yeah.
Right? Considered the best quarterback in the NFL? Top 3? 1 Super Bowl?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on. Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl.
True. But now you're putting him in a place where he's got good defense there. He's going to actually have some time to where he's going to have some established, credible receiver, as opposed to when he was at the Packers, to where he's sitting here saying, like, I want help. I want a receiver. Like, get me somebody other than Devontae Adams to throw to.
Yeah, Devontae Adams for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, he's a one-trick pony. I think that's also going to be the issue with Buffalo Bills. Now they're losing Stephon Diggs, where, like, even when he wasn't catching the ball, he's taking distraction away.
Yeah.
Darby's got something to say about Devontae Adams down there.
The best receiver in football?
He put him.
He's
second.
in the top 10.
He says he is. Just
He's
ask
in
him.
the top
Oh,
10.
yeah, just ask him.
Yeah, ask him. Just ask him.
Yes.
I just think it's the Bills' division to lose, unfortunately. And, being a Patriots guy, I just don't think it would have a chance, unfortunately. But I actually like Miami to come out with a wild card spot. I don't think Aaron's going to do much for the Jets, and you're looking at their coach, who's probably one of the worst coaches in the division or in the league, right? I mean, for them to keep him after not having a winning season, like I don't want to hear the excuse, well, I haven't had a quarterback. Well, there's guys who've been out there who've done better with much less.
I mean, but when you spend the entire offseason building around having the quarterback, and then that's the game plan, and then you lose him 30 seconds into the first game of the season, it's like the entire offseason was built around preparing for this guy to take us somewhere.
You're absolutely right. When Tom Brady went down with his ACL because of the Chiefs game, Pats still win 11-5. It's not terrible. Right? I mean, you can still win.
With Matt Castle.
Matt Castle. That's right.
Hey, man.
Chiefs fans know a
Castle.
thing or two about Matt Castle.
My dad's got a jersey. Tell you what.
You got to adapt, man. You got to adapt, right? I mean, Zach Wilson was the number 2 pick just because he was terrible. I mean, he was the number 2 pick. You've got an opportunity to grow a quarterback and you can't. You spend all that money on a quarterback, that draft capital on a quarterback, and then you have to go get a guy who's 38, and that's what you're, put your name on.
Let me ask you this: do you feel like Robert Saleh is a solid head coach? Is he the guy there?
No.
I was going to say, I think he's a great defensive coordinator that fell into a head coach.
Sure.
Yeah.
So struggles on the offensive side of the ball. Back to the Bills. I mean, the only thing I'm concerned about with the Bills is that receiver core. I mean, Keon Coleman seems like a real cool guy in all of his interviews and everything, but can he catch a football? I mean, they've got Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel, Dalton Kincaid, probably a better receiver.
Shakir showed some flashes last year. He's shifty.
Yeah.
Getting open field. But
Shifty, but he's not a receiver number one.
No.
Right?
100% no.
MVS, Chase Claypool. Like, I feel like they're just collecting parts over there in that receiver room.
MVS, 2-time Super Bowl champ, right?
Don't start.
So
don't start.
Don't
start with MVS.
Super Bowl champions, and then there's guys that won the Super Bowl.
Okay, so
Super Bowl champions are like Mahomes and Kelsey's. They went out there and won a Super Bowl.
going back to last season,
Guys,
Chiefs season, MVS made some plays when he needed to. Now, granted, he didn't make some plays, some routine plays. However, some of the catches he had late in the season were very crucial. Like with the balls in the air, you're like, please catch the ball. He catches it, game over.
Yeah.
We were paying that dude $11 million to catch 2 catches out of the season that made a difference, and the rest of the time, he's dropping wide open passes.
I'm not saying he's going to be successful or that he's a star receiver in Buffalo. He's Super Bowl champion.
I think he was on the team that won the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Right. I was gonna say my buddy sells tickets, and he also has a ring. I don't think he goes around introducing himself at the local Chick-fil-A as Super Bowl champion either. I feel like they made about the same amount of impact.
Okay, so we got the AFC North. I think again, you've got Baltimore. It's their division, man. They've got the reigning MVP, right? I'm not psyched about Deshaun. Hasn't played in 2 years. Watson, right?
You didn't think he caught a little streak going there at the end? I feel like he really kind of came into his own at the end of the season
When it didn't matter.
when it didn't matter. Exactly.
Right. Yeah, exactly. When it didn't matter.
But with that, now that you have Burrow coming back, and Burrow, I mean, to me, I would say as a Chiefs fan, is the scariest quarterback in the AFC. Like when he's healthy, scares me more than anybody. Would you say that that's the case with Lamar for you?
You know, I think with Lamar and the ability that he has to run, I just think the game plan against the Chiefs last year was awful. And it was bad, right? I mean, you watch that game, it wasn't like the Chiefs won it. Baltimore lost it. Mm-hmm. And you've got a coach with Harbaugh, with the reigning MVP, they're going to come back and understand that they had an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl, because I believe they would have beat San Francisco. To miss out on that's going to get under the skin. I would. I mean, at least for me, it would.
Did they lose anybody on defense either? Because their defense was
solid.
Pretty legit. It was
solid defense.
Kind of reminds me of the old school Ravens. They just fly around, super physical. I remember watching the game and I was like, "Oh man, this."
Yeah, and they added Derrick Henry.
Yep.
I mean,
but that means they have to actually run the ball instead of just abandoning the run. Like
Ravens running backs had 20 rushing touchdowns last year.
I mean, in the game against the Chiefs.
Oh, yeah.
In the game against the Chiefs, where they're like, hey, yeah, we're a huge running team. And then they're just like, forget it. We're just going to have Lamar go out here and throw 50 passes, and we're going to completely abandon the run after showing that we can handle it against the Chiefs. Like, that made no sense.
They completely faked them out. They didn't expect it either.
No one in America did.
Nope. So I think it's Baltimore. I like Cincinnati to take the other wild card spot. Because I don't think anybody coming out of the AFC West, aside from the Chiefs, is even going to make a difference, unfortunately. Being from Boston, I'm not psyched to see the Chiefs just keep getting an easy path to the number 1 seed every year. But Oakland's going to be terrible. They don't know who their quarterback is. Denver, awful. They don't know who their quarterback is. And then you've got the ex-San Diego Chargers, right? And Herbert's great, right? He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but at the same time, they've got nothing else. And if you look at their cap situation, they're in trouble. They're in a lot of trouble. They're hoping on a coach and a quarterback to bring them to the promised land. And I think they're a couple years away,
But then do they get there in a couple of years given their cap situation? Because it is such a mess. They have to pay.
It's like they got to start over almost.
Right. At that point, at some point, you got to strip everything out.
Right.
Does that include Justin Herbert then?
I think that's the one piece you have to get rid of everything else if you want to keep him.
That's why they drafted an offensive lineman. I mean, everybody knew they're like, hey, they got to go receiver. And Harbaugh's like, no, we've got to start up front. We've got to basically start over like you're building a new program.
$21 million over the cap this year. Puts them
a lot of dead money in there too.
Mm-hmm. There is.
Yep. And then if you look at what is it? The Central, South. That's right. Yeah, South used to be the Central. South. You don't have anybody in there aside from Houston that's worth a shit, unfortunately. CJ Stroud, I think, is going to have another great year. People are talking about MVP for the guy. Let's simmer down a little bit. Simmer down, right? Like, second-year quarterback. Usually they start to, these coaches start to figure him out a little bit, understand what their weaknesses are, start to game plan for him now that they've seen a whole season of him. So let's hold off on the MVP for CJ Stroud.
Yeah, Mahomes had a pretty good second year.
I was going to say, they said they were going to figure Mahomes out. I think they're still trying.
Is CJ Stroud Mahomes, though? I mean.
I wouldn't say that he is.
Yeah.
No.
He's good. Don't get me wrong, right? I mean, he's good, but let's slow down the MVP.
The thing about it, though, he has a better team around him this year than he did last year. So
sure.
I think that I agree with you. They'll be strong. So you've got division winners, then you got the 2 wild card spots. Who's your third wild card spot?
I hate to say it. But I think Pittsburgh might give it a run. I think good old Russell Wilson. Mike Tomlin always wins 9 games a year.
Yeah,
always does. It's like
he's incredible for that.
If you want to bet on something that's almost a guarantee that he's gonna win 9 games. Mm-hmm. And so as much as I hate the Steelers, I just think they put something together and just, kind of sneak in there. Is Russell Wilson what he used to be? Absolutely not. But he's probably an upgrade over Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think also in that system, when you have a solid head coach like a Mike Tomlin, you're going to get better production out of your quarterback than what he was doing over in Denver.
Yeah, and if you look at Tomlin's schemes, I mean, he's not a guy that throws the ball deep often, right? Well, Russell doesn't have an arm anymore, so if he can throw those short slants and show those short outs to the running backs, like he is good at, then I think they have a shot. I really do.
I think you're kind of crazy for that one. I think the Chargers have more of a shot just because of the Harbaugh-Herbert connection there.
Write it down, man.
We'll see.
Let's see what happens.
Write it down. See what happens.
See what happens.
Right.
I think the NFC is going to be interesting this year. Again, I hate the Eagles, but I think unfortunately they're probably the ones that come out of the division. And everyone's like, well, the Cowboys. Well, you want to talk about underperforming, right? You talk about quarterbacks and head coaches. Well, for whatever reason, Mike McCarthy's back. He shouldn't be. For them not to hire Belichick is crazy, right? And you got Dak, who is at best mediocre when it comes to an important game. I don't think he's probably even in the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. So I'm looking at the Eagles and saying, okay, you got Jalen Hurts, who, MVP guy, throw the ball, right? They've got a great defense. I think if they can figure out that coaching situation and actually, slow down and win some games instead of losing 4 of their last 5 or 5 of their last 6, whatever it was.
What happened? What happened with the Eagles there? Because they just crumbled.
It was the Matt Patricia syndrome. You turn the keys over to Matt Patricia, and things go down. And so we're like, oh, we're gonna fire a defensive coordinator and turn it over to Matt Patricia. Well, it got worse.
Cause and effect.
It's it. You had Matt Patricia running the offense for the New England Patriots the year before, and then you bring him in to run the defense for your team. To me, it doesn't sound like a good idea. I don't know. Maybe
you might
I'm
be onto
wrong.
something.
Maybe I'm wrong. But Patricia's gone. He's not running the defense anymore. And they lost their 2 coordinators. And that's a lot to come up, to bring back in a year when you lose your offensive and defensive coordinator via the previous year. That's tough. And I just think they fell apart. And Matt Patricia.
Yeah, to that point, though, I feel like 2 new coordinators coming in, sometimes it takes a while to get going with new people in those positions. I mean, it's just like anything, you have a new boss coming at your job, it takes you a while to figure them out.
Absolutely.
But they have the players to do so if they're going to do it.
Yeah. You guys are higher in the Packers. Has Jordan Love reported to camp yet?
It's a good question.
I know he's waiting for a new contract, and I know he hasn't gotten paid yet.
Good question.
Right.
Survey says.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Well,
they're talking he's going to be the highest paid quarterback in the league after he gets signed, but like we said, there's still
and he needs to be at camp. He's no Aaron Rodgers.
Do you think Jordan Love deserves to get paid more than what Tua just got paid?
Well, Jordan Love, I mean, he had what, a decent year last year? That was it, right?
Yeah, I just think it's a bit ridiculous to be staying out of camp already in his situation. Like, you had one good year, you know. Like, that's the problem. We've seen not enough. If I'm a fan, if I'm a, you know, owner there, I haven't seen enough sample size yet to pay the guy the big contract.
And he's going into his contract year now. Is that right?
Yeah. So right. Yeah. His rookie contract's coming up, and you know he was good. He wasn't great. I mean, he was good. But Jesus, like, you know, you're giving all these guys these big contracts, and you know if he's going to be the highest paid, I mean, I don't think he's in the top 10 either. I mean, maybe, but I just don't think he cracks it. And how do you start giving all these guys this much money with basically a year's worth of production?
That's the second reference to a top 10, so I think we need to circle back on top 10 quarterbacks in the league, because that's my immediate question there. Is like, if that guy isn't in it, then who is? So
we can go through that list.
I was going to say, that's another segment for next time.
Let's do it. Let's do it. You know, unfortunately, the division with Chicago, like you said, I don't think Chicago makes a leap. I don't think Minnesota's better with J.J. McCarthy. I like Detroit. You know, I like Dan Campbell. I know Goff is fine when he's indoors, and the good thing is they play indoors.
I think Goff's a top 10 quarterback in the league.
Could be. He could be. I mean, indoors he's great. They did just lose their kicker. Guy tore his hamstring today. Not a good thing. So he's out for the year, but I like Detroit. I like what they do. The defense is good. Aiden Hutchinson is, you know, a solid guy up front and runs the team, and they're definitely going to take the division.
We've got a lot of young weapons on offense as well. I think
Yeah.
Jameer Gibbs is going to, I think he's the real deal.
Laporta.
I think he's going to be Laporta.
Yep.
But speaking of young weapons, though, I mean, you're going to leave the Bears out like that? You don't see the Bears going straight to the Super Bowl and winning it all? Caleb Williams' first year?
Not yet, man. Let's give him a year, right? Let's give him a year.
Well, half the media is ready to crown him as the new Patrick Mahomes, so I just wanted to send it your way.
We talked, was it you and I or Dalton and I that was talking about the Caleb Williams antics and how the antics he's doing at his pro day, it's combine, how he just wasn't showing up,
He's a diva.
didn't talk to any teams.
He wants percentage of ownership.
Yeah.
Calm down.
He's got to come out and have an MVP season, or he just looks like a dweeb. I mean,
Do you think that's what all this NIL money is doing to these guys? Like, overinflating their egos that much to where they think
I think that in the transfer portal. I mean,
yeah. If the transfer portal is good because players should be able to get out of bad situations, but there should be a limit on it somehow, because you can just walk out of any situation that you're not getting your way now. They're not having to face adversity. You know, they can just go leave and try to play at another school. So
Yeah, but isn't that the generation,
yeah,
right?
it is.
Stuff's not going my way, so I'm going to take my ball and go home.
I like to compete. So if someone comes and takes my spot, I'm gonna work my ass off to try and get that spot back. I feel like the transfer portal is the easy way out.
Well, it is, but you've got other coaches that are calling and saying, "Hey,
They're
you can
offering
start
more.
over here."
Yeah, no,
Right.
and that's part of the problem is that the schools and the system is allowing it to happen and encouraging it to happen. When you're calling a guy and saying, "Hey, I'll give you $600,000 if you can play for me," to a 19-year-old kid,
It's tough to
It's
turn
tough
down.
to say no.
I wouldn't have turned it down. I mean, I don't know. I am all for the way college football is going. I think this is going to be one of the most exciting seasons in college football history with the 12-team playoff, with the conference realignments. But there is a lot of stuff that I feel like if they don't get under control, it's going to end up, you know, hurting the game.
Blowing up in their face.
So
You said
All right.
you still have the
So
NFC West?
Yep, so NFC West, we've got without question 49ers.
Yeah.
You know, Darby, like you said, they've got the best team on paper.
It's unreal. It's sickening.
do you think you could plug any quarterback into that system and it works?
They did basically. Brock Purdy
we
is
talked
like
about
any
that, yeah.
quarterback, just a guy, right?
But it's a guy that's going to be able to follow that system and just do exactly what he is supposed to do. I feel like there are some people in the league that are the Jameis Winston effect, where they just show up and they're just scatterbrained and flinging the rock around and have no sense of direction. Brock Purdy is a guy where you say, hey, these are your reads. Step 1, step 2, step 3. This is what you do with it. And they are very good about following instructions no matter what. And they
Game
do exactly.
manager.
They game manage and they game manage exactly how they're supposed to. And they don't rely on their abilities to be able to do above and beyond. and he's a perfect plug and play quarterback for that. I think there are quarterbacks that don't fit that build. They would go in there and actively hurt the team because they just don't follow direction and they don't follow their reads like they're supposed to.
Yeah. What do you think about Ayuk? Is he going to get traded or is he staying?
Haven't they said they don't want to trade
Yeah,
him?
they're not going to let him go. That's what they've been putting out to the media.
So is he going to play?
I think that he just shuts up and plays this season, and he's pissed off about it the whole time, and then eventually gets a new contract somewhere else.
Almost as a prove it contract.
That's I feel like if they don't want to let
I feel
you
like
go,
he has to take it in that way at this point.
I don't think he can afford to sit out every single game of the season. I mean, that's a lot of money that you have to pay every single week that you sit out. So he's going to eventually be like, all right, fine, I'll report and I'll play the games, and treats it as a contract year to get a big contract somewhere else.
I do think he's a good receiver. I mean,
I do too.
Yeah.
Solid receiver for sure.
100%.
But another one of those guys that you feel like, I mean, is he a long-term receiver one for your organization? You paying him Tyreek Hill money?
Is he
not.
receiver one right now for 49ers, you think? Or you got Debo above him?
Probably Debo.
Yeah.
I think Ayuk's a better receiver than Debo. But you got Christian McCaffrey it just makes such a difference. Like, you know, when you're stacking the box against him, everybody looks like a number one receiver. You know, I mean, it's so different just having that guy in the backfield makes such a difference.
And Kittle.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, and then we talk about what's the worst division in, I think, football, the NFC South.
And it has been for a while. Like, how are these guys not figuring it out?
Coaches and quarterbacks. Right? You got Atlanta, right? They're like, well, Bill Belichick's not even in the top 3 of our consideration. Seriously?
How?
Really? Like, I might be a Bill Belichick homer, but the same way, like, he's still considered the best NFL coach in history. Like, what are we doing? You're going to tell me you don't want to bring this guy in to revamp your entire team, right? And then you go out and you get Kirk Cousins, which is fine. I got no issue with that, but you spend your number 1 pick on another quarterback? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Who's running this team to make a decision that, you know what, we're going to bring a guy in. What is he, a gap year quarterback? And the guy you bring in is old. Like, right, you drafted
and you paid
an
him
older
$40 million a year for 4 years.
Right. And you draft Michael Penix, who he's not like he's 18 or 19, right? What are you doing?
And they reached to get him.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like no one was going to take him at that spot anyways.
No.
You know, you didn't need to jump up there to get him when you just it's a basic survey of how drafts work. You look and see who might actually take this guy, and let's jump to that spot. But to go get him as high as they did, again, what are you doing?
And he's already 24 years old.
Right.
So if he sits behind Kirk Cousins for a year, so this season either goes one of two ways. Kirk Cousins has a great year. They go to the playoffs, and he's the guy the next year. Then what? You're looking at him starting possibly his first season when he's 26 or 27 years old.
Absolutely.
Doesn't make sense to me. It wouldn't make sense to me if I was Michael Penix either. It's like I'm
It's
playing
kind of
on
a smack in the face.
I'm playing on more of a limited time field here. Like I've got to prove myself and get paid, because if I don't get my chance until I'm 26, 27, I'm looking at my next contract shortly after my start. And if I haven't made a case for myself in one season, then what? Career backup?
It didn't make sense to the owner either. That's why he marched over there and gave them an earful the second after the pick went in.
You got to know what's going on. I mean, you can't let those things happen. This is a business, right? It's not like fantasy football. Like, you guys are running a business. Your goal is to win, right? It's not to collect quarterbacks.
So their justification behind it was, now we're going to pick up Kirk Cousins. We're never going to be in this position again to be able to draft so high. So because we're in this position now, we're going to get someone who is a blue chip quarterback in the draft, because here over the next 4 years of having him at quarterback, we're never going to be losing enough games to be within reach of one of these top quarterbacks. So we're going to get him now, and we're going to follow the Green Bay Packers approach to get him in here too early, develop him, and then we will sunset the veteran. At least that's what they put out to the media. That was their intention, and that's why they did what they did. And then, you know, you can agree with that or not.
So you just said that out loud. Does it make sense?
You can agree with it or not. I'm telling you what they told the world. So
Yeah, you had to come up with something.
yeah, right.
Right.
It's like, let's all put our heads together, and somehow we got to make it sound like this was smart. Kind of like not following the approach that the Chiefs would have had they won the coin toss in the Super Bowl. They're like, oh yeah, wait a second. It'll make sense for us as the 49ers because then we'll get the ball third.
Right.
It didn't make much sense in the Super Bowl either, but that they had to have something to justify it.
After the pick. I wonder if they had a bet with somebody like, hey, I bet you won't take him. Right? Like, I
A
bet
gentleman's bet?
Yeah, or they had.
You won't do it.
You won't?
The guy's agent called and said, hey, listen, you know that one time, you know that favor you owe me? I'm calling it in.
Do it.
Calling it in.
He's like, Dan, you got me, man. I gotta listen.
I gotta do it. I gotta do it.
So who's winning that division?
Oh man, it's so bad. It's so bad.
The four-way tie.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think Carolina's going to be the worst team in the league, right? I think Baker is mediocre, even though they just gave him a bunch of money. Kirk Cousins was probably the best quarterback in the division, which is sad. And they do have Bijan Robinson, probably one of the best running backs in the league. So I have to go in that direction. But it's begrudgingly picking Atlanta to win that division. But if I had to pick someone, that's who I'd have to go with.
I think it's another 9-8 or 10-7.
Yeah, it's not going to be exciting. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty.
Yeah. Then wild card, you got Dallas. You got Green Bay in the wild card.
I think Dallas definitely. I think Green Bay is going to come in there. And so you've got one more team. Is who's going to sneak in? Right? Is there a team out in the West? And I like McVay.
Yeah,
I just do. And with what he does with a limited roster, because he's got some salary cap issues as well. And Aaron Donald retiring, yeah, that's a big deal. But they still have a pretty good coach and they still have a pretty good quarterback.
Pretty good receiver too, coming back.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And the running back there had a pretty good start last year.
Yeah. So I
stay healthy.
I would think that would be the team that sneaks in. You've got the Cardinals who are, you're going to get 2 wins there, and you got Seattle's stepping back as well. You're going to pick up a couple wins there. So you've got a way into that last wild card spot, and I think that's who sneaks in.
Yeah. There's been a lot of hype around Jalen Daniels up in Washington too. What do you think about Washington this year?
So the Patriots, back to New England, Patriots had the number 3 pick, right? So I was doing a lot of research and trying to figure out, okay, they're going to get a quarterback, right? Because Mac Jones was an absolute disaster. And so who did I want, right? Looking at all the quarterbacks who were out there, was it, do we trade up for Caleb? Is Jalen Daniels better, or Jaden Daniels, I'm sorry, and then Drake May. Now, I always like Drake May, right? I look at a guy who's can throw the ball and who's not going to get, broken in half if he gets hit. And I think that's what's going to happen to Jaden Daniels. I think that kid, as soon as he gets hit by a guy who runs just as fast as he does, that weighs
twice as much.
Yeah, 100 pounds more than he does. It's not going to be good. I that's just me. Maybe I'm wrong, but you look at the kid and yeah, he's awesome. He was awesome at LSU, but he had 2 top 5 receivers in college football. Like, you're gonna look good throwing to those guys.
I kind of think of it as his running style. He's kind of like Lamar. You never see Lamar slide, and I think long term, he's a couple, like you said, one good hit and he's done. And I don't think he not necessarily cares about his body, but I think other quarterbacks are smarter and they think about long term. Right? He's just trying to get the first down. I don't necessarily think that's a good thing.
Yeah. You're going to see a lot of, when that guy gets hit.
Yeah. Josh Allen's the same way, though, but Josh Allen's huge.
Huge,
so,
he's huge.
But at some point, though, you think, he's a hit away from being done. Like, I've thought that about Lamar for a long time, but it just hasn't happened. I don't know. I think that he's just got crazy, freaky athletic flexibility and strength. I don't know. I still think it's the case.
I do think that's the difference between Josh Allen. I think there's a lot of players, like a lot of defensive backs, that do not want to tackle him at all, because he is physical, and like we said, he is huge. He is a very big guy.
Yeah. All right, I will jump into the AFC, starting off with the East. I think I've said it before. I think the Bills are going to struggle a little bit more than we think this year. I've got the Dolphins eking out that division at 11-6, and then the Bills snagging a wild card spot at 11-6 also. So beating them head to head. I think the Jets are not going to get it done. I disagree with you, Alex. I don't think that we'll see Aaron Rodgers ever return to the same form that he was. And I don't think it's because of the injury. I just think there's too many broken pieces there in New York, as we were talking about. And I think that he just isn't the same player that he was. In the North, I think the Ravens own it. They'll be dominant and win that division. Bet I really like is Derrick Henry. His rushing touchdown total for the year is at 10.5. I like going over that. I think he rushes for 11 or more touchdowns. I would put some money on that. Then I've got the Bengals sticking in at a wild card spot as well. And then the Browns, I disagree with you there as well. I don't think they get it done. Joe Flacco had a better quarterback rating in the same games for the Browns last year as Deshaun Watson.
That was last year. It's a whole new year, baby. New year, new world.
I don't know. And Nick Chubb, who knows how he's going to be coming back from injury. I saw him squatting a lot of weight, but is he going to be as shifty as he was on the football field?
There's a difference.
I don't know. Look, his knee that looked bad.
Yeah,
that
it was bent the wrong way.
Yeah.
It's usually doesn't usually look good when it goes the wrong way.
Bad on anybody.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then in the South, Texans, I don't think there's a question about it. I don't think any other team in that division is going to get it done.
If there was a team to get it done, who would it be, though?
Jacksonville. Yeah. I think they're a solid, be 7-10, 8-9, one of the first teams out. They'll win a fair share of games that they should. They'll probably win a few games that they shouldn't, but they'll also lose some games that they shouldn't. I think they're just middle of the road. Trevor Lawrence is okay. I don't know if he's the long-term guy there. I don't think I would want him as a quarterback on my team.
They just gave him a lot of money.
They did. Yeah. They're sticking with him, but what option do they have? I mean, they've got a year-old guy down there.
Yeah.
Mac,
yeah.
Big Mac.
Yeah. And you had to pay the guy money, right? You just go back and forth. It's like, do we let him go or do we keep him? And he's got the potential, right? I mean, you've seen flashes of him doing well, and if they just moved to London where they win all their games, I think they'd be in a better spot. But it's scary to give those guys, these quarterbacks that you wouldn't say, like I would say, top 10 quarterback, that kind of money. Be right. They don't have any other option.
No, they don't. They want to go to London too.
I know they do.
Yeah. If the NFL will let them, they'll be over there. What's your guys' thoughts on that? You think it's good for the game?
I think it's good what they're doing right now. It's just kind of having, games here and there. Long term, I don't think it would be a good idea to send a whole organization over there. But I think what they're doing now is working out just fine.
I mean, what do you think, though? I mean, you've got London, which is a much bigger city than Jacksonville, right? You go to the games, all the games are always sold out. There's always
is it a flash in the pan? Is it just cool for a second?
I just go back to what we were saying a couple weeks ago about soccer. Soccer is a global sport. You don't really, like we talked about, you don't really see football as, in other countries, it's not really a thing.
You forget about the CFL?
Yeah,
but that's the thing though.
Yeah.
They've made it very known that it's a league-wide initiative to where we want to make this a global sport. They're being very vocal about the fact that this is no longer going to be a sport just reserved to America. We want this to be global, and we're going to be very intentional and proactive about growing the sport. I think that you're going to have a lot of pushback from other teams saying that we have to travel all that much. And then also thinking about the team itself, if they're in London, you're telling me all of my away games, we've got to fly. We got to do the out and back every time. Yeah, you're going to string a couple together. We have multiple away games in a row where you can just stay in the States before you go back. But you're telling them that now they have to take residency up in a completely other country. Like, I just see that that's a logistical nightmare that I don't think that they're willing to open that can of worms just yet. Even as awful as it is to have Jacksonville as a city and having the stadium out there in the middle of nowhere next to the airport, not a place I'd want to play.
No, I think you're right. I think it'd be cool to have a team in London.
100%.
Right? But you're right. The logistics behind it would be a disaster. And I mean, if you're like Seattle, that's got to go out there and go play them because it's your turn to play them in the division, right? Like that's who you're set up with. I mean, you're talking what, 12 hours to get out there, and how many time zones? I mean, it's a mess, right? I mean, when Jacksonville has those games out there, they just camp out for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But they've got to give the teams who play the London game when they get back a bye. I mean, that's their bye week the next week. So that's going to tell you something.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we're close to seeing it happen. The thing about soccer too is that like the teams that are all across the world aren't playing each other. So, like you've got the MLS in the US, you've got all the leagues over in Europe, and they kind of just stick to their own areas. I don't think it's coming anytime soon. In the West, I think the Chiefs obviously take it. I do think that the Chargers are going to sneak out the third playoff spot, surprisingly. Got them going 11-6.
Wow.
I hate playing the Chargers.
I do too.
They
it
play
feels like
so
that team.
close every single game.
Yeah.
No matter how hot the Chiefs are, how bad they are, I just feel like they're always right there. It always comes down to the last drive of the game. Can we get it done? It's just stressful as a fan. I know that.
Phillip Rivers was the worst too.
Bro.
Yes.
I would much rather lose to Justin Herbert than Phillip Rivers.
Yeah. I will say though, we are every team's Kansas City is every team's Super Bowl when they show up, and especially when you have a division rival, and we own the division, and the Chiefs have won the division year in and year out, back to back to back. To the Chiefs, like this is just another game. We're waiting until the playoffs get here, and guys, they make it known. I don't really turn it on sometimes until it comes big game moment or playoffs, and the Chargers show up. They've spent that entire week counting down the minutes until their Super Bowl of the year, which is them playing us at home and away.
I mean, look at it. They're already talking about it in the preseason. The Raiders doing their stuff. Jamar Chase with the NFL top 100 list. Like
nonsense.
It's just we're living rent free in their head.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. I mean, what are you going to do? Come out and say we know we can't beat them? I mean, that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. As long as Mahomes is playing quarterback, I mean, I hate to say it, but they're the team to beat. Yeah. And so every team's got to figure out a way to psych themselves up to think that they have a chance, right? But, the Chiefs are, here week 3, the San Diego Chargers are coming back, right? I can't call them LA, man. It just doesn't feel right? I know I grew up with them in San Diego. Anyway, so San Diego Chargers are coming back, right? Coming into Arrowhead, and it's just a week 3 game for the Chiefs, and,
So let's go through San Diego, or you got me doing it. San Diego schedule real quick.
Yeah.
Raiders week 1, Panthers week 2, Steelers week 3, and then the Chiefs. They're 3-0 coming into Arrowhead, or I think that game's there actually, but they're 3-0 going into the first game against the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm. Is it at Pittsburgh?
At Pittsburgh.
I don't know, man.
Either way, they have a winning record. 2-1,
yeah,
3-0.
Oh yeah,
They think they're coming in.
They're going to win at least 2 of the 3.
Yeah, they'll be 2-1.
You really think the offensive coordinator quarterback combination of Arthur Smith and Russell Wilson or Justin Fields is going to win games this year?
Absolutely.
Arthur Smith?
I don't feel terrible about it. I don't.
Do you think Justin Fields is the starting quarterback at some point this season?
The games that
Russ got hurt today. Woke up and his calves messed up.
Dang.
Yeah, his hip,
tight calves.
Yeah, but they just do it every year. Pittsburgh does it every year.
They've got a solid defense too.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they do. I can't stand Arthur Smith. I don't think he deserves to be in.
I don't know if it's just I want to see Justin Fields succeed really bad. I don't know why, but
Chicago's a tough place to play. That organization has just been a mess.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the fact that they had Carolina's pick and Carolina was awful, Justin Fields would still be their quarterback, right? So, I mean, they're like, we think we're getting a once-in-a-generation talent in Caleb Williams, whether we agree with that or not, right? So we've got to get rid of our guy. Like, we can't have Justin Fields here when Caleb Williams comes in the door. Mm-hmm. So they gave him away for, a box of donuts.
Pretty much.
But he can play. The guy can play, right? Is he great? No. But is he going to manage a game for you? And is Tomlin a better coach and a better system for him? I think so.
I think the only way you'll see Justin Fields succeed is if you move him to running back or put him in the slot.
Whoa.
He's going to be catching. He's going to be taking the kickoffs. He's going to be back there catching them. And they're like, could he throw cross field?
They've been doing that.
They had him doing it. I wouldn't have my quarterback doing that.
I would also not be doing that. But
If
hey,
Patrick, I might run on the field and protest the game if they put Patrick Mahomes back
They
there.
said Pat's the emergency punter. What do you think about that?
I don't know. Brady punted a few times
He
in
did.
his day.
Yep, he did.
Yeah.
That's right.
But then the Chargers, I mean, they've got the Raiders and the Broncos twice each there. I think that's 4 wins. Panthers 5, Steelers 6, Cardinals 7. They play the Saints, your Browns. They've got the Bengals, the Ravens. They've got the Tennessee Titans, Buccaneers, your Patriots.
Right.
They play a lot of crappy teams.
They do.
I think there's a very easy path for them to win 10 or 11 games and get the last wild card
they
spot.
play a lot of crappy teams and the Browns. I just want to make sure that we don't lump that into the same category there. Browns aren't
Are
crappy
we
teams.
anointing the Browns as Alex's team?
Yeah.
Officially?
Yeah.
Okay,
He
perfect.
may or may not have a jersey on the way.
Listen, hey, I've been there. I've seen the dog pound in action. All right. They're locking up that division this year. This is the time.
Says
Head
every
on.
Browns fan every year.
Yep.
This is the year. This is our year, baby.
We'll see about that. We will see about that. Yeah. So AFC, that's my take. NFC, I agree with you about the Eagles. I think that they kind of right the ship this year. Even with new coordinators, I think that there's too much talent there, especially with Saquon coming over from the Giants to not do it. They take the division. I'll give Dallas, the regular season wild card spot champions, and they'll lose in the playoffs first game. I think they'll be in wild card. I think Washington will do better than they have and better than a lot of people are thinking that they are. I think they're a 7 to 9 win team, missing the playoffs slightly. The Giants, I really hope Drew Lock starts for the Giants, honestly. I would love to see him get like a full season to start. He's not going to because they paid Daniel Jones an insane amount of money. But maybe we'll see week 4, Daniel Jones is just not doing well and Drew Lock gets a chance.
Has Daniel Jones ever done well?
Yeah, he had that one game, remember? Do you remember it?
He had, a few. Yeah.
I'll never be able to get the image out of my mind of him running in a wide open field, sprinting to the touchdown, and then just falling.
Yeah.
Because that's the most relatable human action. I feel like everyone's like, I could see myself doing that.
Dude.
But then again, you're an elite athlete making millions a year. What are you doing?
He's an elite athlete. Is that what you just said?
Okay.
Well,
Well,
he's getting paid
comparatively,
he's getting paid like an elite athlete.
comparatively to the rest of the human race, yeah, I'd put him in the elite category in that sense.
That's like those nightmares. I have those nightmares where you're getting chased and you just like
Can't
fall
run.
down.
Yeah, you just like can't go.
Run. You got bricks
Yeah.
on your foot.
Yeah.
You're just
He's
like,
living
why
that
can't I
nightmare.
And
run?
you got the gun and the gun won't fire. It's like you're pulling the trigger and nothing happens. Oh man. Yeah. In the North, I like the Lions. I really do. If the Chiefs aren't in it, if they somehow get eliminated from the playoffs, I think the Lions are the team that I'm rooting for. Probably in the NFC, they're the team I'm rooting for.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jared Goff, like Dan Campbell, like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Laporta, Aiden Hutchinson, a lot of good guys up there. I think they take the division. Green Bay, second wild card spot. I don't know. If Jordan Love probably going to end up playing, right? Like, let's be honest, even whether he gets paid or he doesn't, he has to play. Because if he doesn't, what happens then? What's the best case scenario if he doesn't play?
He doesn't get paid.
Exactly. There isn't one.
Right.
So he'll play. They'll sneak into a wild card spot, whether he has a great year or he doesn't. I think the Mahomes comparisons are absolutely ridiculous. I think CJ Stroud deserves more Mahomes comparisons than he does.
Wait, who compared him to Mahomes?
I've seen it a couple times.
I've seen it
too.
a couple times.
I don't remember
We need to
the-
start coming with receipts and
Yeah.
directly saying these are the people from these networks.
Yeah. I'll
Come with
see
receipts.
I'll see if I can find it here.
Yeah, somebody's just trying to sound crazy, like
Yeah.
so people listen. Like that's nuts. Come on.
Yeah. And then the Bears, four wins. I think that's it.
4 wins.
And then the Vikings, I don't think the JJ to JJ connection is going to amount to anything. It might be Sam Darnold throwing him balls up there, and that isn't going to go well. So we've seen that song and dance before. San Francisco can't not pick them in the West. I think the Rams are going to have a better year than we think if they stay healthy. That is
Absolutely,
just
yeah.
plagues them. Stafford is a solid quarterback. McVay is a solid coach. Cooper Kupp's coming back. I don't know. I think that they'll have a good year. Seahawks and Cardinals, nothing going on there. I think the Seahawks are another one of those 7 to 9 win teams at most. And then the South. So I'm not 100% on the Baker Mayfield train. I love the way that he plays the game, and I think he's a game manager. He's one of those quarterbacks that isn't your long-term solution, but you're fine dating him for a while, whatever. The Falcons should win the division. They should be the team with everyone they have down there, but I think they'll lose a lot of games that they shouldn't. So I've got the Bucks taking the division, actually, 10-7, tie with the Falcons at 10-7, but they beat them. So I don't know. I don't think the Falcons are going to get it done. I think that place is just a dumpster fire, kind of similar to Cleveland.
All the hate on Cleveland.
Hey, listen. What did Pat say? We'll handle it
when it's time to be handled.
The Browns are going to show up and it's going to get handled.
I'm not nervous about the Browns handling anything.
I'm not nervous either because they're going to handle their business.
The
And
only thing I'm worried about is their security team handling those people running on the field. Have you guys seen the videos this week?
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
They're doing
Training.
for their security team, chasing people around on the field.
Right.
For when they've got
For when they win some games and they go to the playoffs, they win the division. They got to be ready to keep people from storming the field. That's what's going to happen. So they need to be ready for that when people start storming. Hey, listen, the dog pound's not coming to mess around. All right, they're ready for business.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I'm a Pats homer, and I know they're going to stink. Just admit it. Like, hey, there's always hope, right? But you just know we're not going to be good. We've accepted it. The Browns aren't going to be good. Just accept it. It's okay. It's okay. Third place in the division will be fine.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
All right, let's
They'll
go.
handle
Third
business.
place in the division for the Browns.
Yep.
Ahead of the Steelers then.
Oh, that's right. Nope, fourth place. Yep, my bad. I forgot.
Wow, you are just burying him. Just burying him. He's over here asking if he can put him in 5th place.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
We send them overseas.
So what do you got for the Patriots this year? What's your record?
I feel a little bit better about the Pats this year than I did last year, obviously, because we actually have a quarterback and throw the ball and not wet his pants. So,
Jacoby Brissett?
Yeah, more of a pro quarterback than Mac Jones is. We've got Christian Gonzalez that's coming back from his injury. He's a
stud.
Yeah, stud. I mean, he was the number one rated cornerback in the league when he went down as a rookie too. So Judon's coming back from his injury. He's looking for a big contract, so he's going to play. Just re-signed Stevenson, Ramondre, who is one of the better running backs in the league, and I think Drake's going to come in after week 4 or 5. To be honest with you, do I think they'll have a winning record? Probably not. But can they eke out 6 or 7 wins? Yeah. But right now they're listed as a favorite to have the worst record in the NFL, and I just don't see that happening. I don't see how Carolina gets over 3 wins. I just don't see it. I think Bryce Young and I are the same height, so that's probably not a good thing. The guy can't see over the line, and you're thinking he's going to win you more than 3 games. So, as a homer on the Patriots bandwagon, yeah, they're not going to have the worst record in the NFL, and that's all I can hope for.
Fair enough.
Set that bar high.
I'm psyched about Drake May though, man. I just, I can't get enough YouTube videos of him and his family coming in, and he walked in the locker room and he said, brought his whole family in. He goes, when you draft me, you get everybody. His entire family's in the locker room with him, and his girlfriend he's been with since 7th grade, and he's just a gamer. Like, the guy wants to win all the time, and it's exciting to have somebody with some confidence.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Definitely more upside there than you had last year. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And it's been tough for us Patriots fans.
Yeah,
I feel so bad for you guys.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
It's been tough. It really has.
We'll talk to you. I'm sure we'll feel the same when Mahomes retires in 15 years.
Right. We will also feel very deflated.
Yeah.
That's wrong. That's wrong.
He admitted he did it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it's part of the roast. Like he said, just give me the money and I'll tell you I did it. I did on the same thing. How much money did they spend on it? $20 million to figure out that science exists. Yeah, I get it. Okay. Yes.
So you sign off on them watching practices and stealing signs is what you're saying?
They got caught. It's not so much them stealing the signs. I mean,
Not stealing signs, but the fact that they were watching practices and plays and
well,
calls.
if you read into everything, right? It wasn't so much what he was doing; it was more illegal where he was standing. Believe it or not, right? So they're like, you're allowed to be in certain places of the stadium, and he was in the wrong place, and he just happened to have his camera out. I mean, what are you going to do?
I hate when that happens to me.
Kind of like the Michigan guy too last year.
Well, that was a little bad. That was a little bad. You want to talk about getting caught red-handed, literally.
No joke.
Right. I'm just happy for your Chiefs guys, and I hope that Mahomes continues to play, but is he going to get bored here soon? I mean, he's got a lot of other stuff going on. Tom Brady didn't have anything, except an illegitimate kid. But aside from that, when he was playing, he didn't really have much else going on. Mahomes is, he's got ownership in all these other teams, and
Well, I think he also got bored because he was a minimum contributor in those early Super Bowls. And then he was like, I need to actually be a contributor for it to count at some point in my life. So then he was an actual game player in those later Super Bowls. But those first ones, I think was it his first season? He threw one passing touchdown in the playoffs when they won that Super Bowl in the first one. So,
but they did win it.
They did win it. I'm just saying
Still
he didn't
counts,
get bored because he didn't get bored because he was like, man, I can't wait for us to win a Super Bowl where people actually realize that I was on the team and I played a part in it.
It's possible, but he did have 3 separate Hall of Fame careers. If you look at his, first Hall of Fame career when he won his 3 Super Bowls, and then he broke the passing touchdown record in his second Hall of Fame career, and then he won 4 more Super Bowls.
Yeah.
And he's going to hold those.
Mahomes is almost halfway to Tom Brady's total.
So the crazy thing about that though is that Brady went 10 years without winning one.
Absolutely.
Right. So like if Mahomes continues at his current pace, even if he wins 2 over the next 8 years,
right?
Like he's ahead of pace. And the difference, what is going to be the hard part about this conversation is if Mahomes does not play as long as Brady. And I'd say it's probably very possible that he doesn't, right?
I'd agree.
He's going to have 3 kids that are getting up into middle school age and not wanting to miss their stuff, whatever. I don't blame the guy if he doesn't want to play forever. But if he does, I think he's got a chance to surpass a lot of records.
Yeah, that's what kind of scares me, to be honest, is the Tom Brady guy. Brady won 3 of his first Super Bowls in his first 4 years or 5 years, right, in the league. And how many does Mahomes have in his first 5 years?
3.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And there was a drought, for Brady for a long time. 2 New York Giants Super Bowls taken away from us.
If it wasn't for Eli Manning and Nick Foles.
Eli Manning.
What a guy.
Twice.
Elite, baby. Elite.
Twice. Eli Manning's going to go in the Hall of Fame because of those 2 games.
Yeah. No doubt.
Like mediocre throughout his entire career, except for those 2 games. David Tyree, the ball hit the ground.
I didn't.
It didn't. It did.
Embrace debate.
It did not. Yeah, that Nick Foles, man. I hate the Eagles, but Nick Foles.
Yeah, the Patriots weren't. I mean, they weren't the better team. Philly was the better team, and Nick Foles just had the game of his life. I mean, how many millions of dollars did that guy make off that one game?
Oh yeah.
Right.
And you got to show up in big moments.
Yeah, absolutely.
He did.
Yep.
So I think it'll be a fun season. I think we'll have to dive a little bit more into it, dive into some fantasy football stuff as well coming up here in the coming weeks as we start to get drafts going and everything. But I certainly think we have a lot to watch now and a lot to keep tabs on from this. So
keep receipts.
That's absolutely right. Yeah, we'll play back these Browns making the playoff predictions.
Man, I'm going to sit over here with my half Browns jersey on, my half Jets jersey on, and you guys are going to hear all about it.
Yeah, you guys in the AFC North, I mean, good God, I know they're good, but come on. So, all right, well, the final segment this week, you're going to have to tune into our social medias to find out who the CTE case of the week is. So go check out our Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. Follow us, like, subscribe. Thank you guys for joining the Vertz podcast. Peace out.